No one paid my legal bills. Nobody.
He said he lent you money, didn't he?
He didn't lend me a cent. I paid the legal bills 100% myself.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, that's, well, no one paid my legal bills. No one called up and checked.
News. I was upset. Now, normally with me, I just kind of, after a little bit, I just go, do you know what, it's fucking, but it's actually aggravating me more and more. Do you know what I mean? Like, to the point where I'm not upset anymore. I'm actually quite angry. And when I sit back and actually think about it,
bother me in any way. Conor should just keep his hands together. He's wound up with a large amount of money.
The amount of money it was a lot of money, right? But how do we know, like, part of the stipulation is like you can't say nothing to nobody about this.
Conor Benn hits back at Eddie Hearn borrowed millions claims and completely shuts down the allegations, insisting he never borrowed a single penny from Eddie Hearn. He calls the claims false and misleading, saying Eddie is twisting the story for attention.
I had to do that myself.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of the reason as to why no one's gonna defend you. No one's gonna have your back when you're done and forgotten about. You have to look after yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Eddie Hearn comes out visibly frustrated, insisting that Conor Benn is completely denying the truth and twisting the situation. He claims he did support Benn financially and says hearing him deny it so strongly is shocking. Hearn suggests Benn is telling a massive lie and accuses him of rewriting history to protect himself. The tension between them is clearly boiling over and getting personal fast.
I actually think, you dog. That's what I think. Whereas before, I was a bit upset. I was a bit emotional. But I actually thought, because I'll probably be at his fight, because we have Justice Honey fighting, you know, and maybe I go with AJ to watch, and I just thought, if I see him, I have to let him know. You know, not in a confrontational way, but I will have to tell him, because it's, you know, I think I've got to get it off my chest.
What are you going to say to Conor Benn? First time you see him, what are you going to be saying to that brother?
Probably saying like, you're a dog.
Conor Benn defends his decision strongly, saying people are twisting the story to attack him unfairly. He insists it was purely a business move made for his family's security and future. Benn also fires back at Eddie Hearn's version of events, suggesting Eddie is trying to control the narrative and make him look ungrateful. He makes it clear he's done staying quiet and won't let anyone damage his name with false claims.
You've had a relationship with someone for 10 years. When you've had someone stand by you for 10 years, unlike any other fighter, any other relationship, all he had to do was say, can I come and see you? I want to have a conversation with you in person. That's all. Because no one's sitting there going, you shouldn't have taken the offer. I'm sitting there going, well, yeah, fucking 15 million, cool, happy days.
Frank Smith steps in to clarify the financial side, saying Conor Benn was supported multiple times with large advances throughout his career, including around major fights and personal needs. He explains the money was later recovered, but stresses this is being misrepresented as a loan. Smith argues it's more about wording than reality, insisting these were career advances, not personal debts, as things get increasingly tense.
He advanced Conor multiple hundreds of thousands at multiple points in his career, right? You know, whether it was to buy a house or whatever, or, you know, around the Eubank fight, we advanced him multiple hundreds of thousands as well, which we subsequently got back in 2025. So if you want to call it an advance, trying to play on words. Is it technically named a loan? No. But is an advance and a loan the same?
Johnny Nelson believes the damage between Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn is real and emotional, saying trust has now been broken. He admits Eddie is genuinely hurt, but suggests time and success could still bring them back together if Benn keeps winning big fights. However, he warns the relationship has taken a major hit, with both sides feeling betrayed and the bridge currently burnt.
This is happening. Eddie's hurt. But trust me, if 2 or 3 fights down the line and Conor keeps winning, Conor wins his next fight 15 mil, then he puts himself up there on another level, and Conor's in a position for Eddie to put a show on, Eddie'll do it. He'll put a show on. They'll work together again. But that trust is broken, that bridge is burnt in regards to that relationship. He's hurt.
Max Kellerman brings a straight reality check to the situation, arguing that Conor Benn made a free agent business decision and cannot be blamed for it. He says people need to stop acting shocked when fighters choose better opportunities for themselves. Kellerman also criticizes the emotional reaction from the other side, pointing out the contradiction of talking tough one day and showing hurt the next.
They're literally minding their business. Right. Mind your business. Right, well, I am minding my business. He took my fighter. No. Your fighter was a free agent and he made a business choice, right? Here's the problem, though. You can't beat your chest and talk a mess on Monday about how Zuffa sucks and all this, and then literally cry on a Tuesday. You can't the very next day be choking back tears about the
Johnny Nelson breaks down the situation, saying Eddie Hearn is not just emotional, but fully calculated in how he operates in boxing. He insists this is purely business, not personal, and Eddie has always made sharp decisions throughout his career. However, he admits this situation has genuinely hurt Eddie and his team.
And his team are hurt, and I get it. I remember when Eddie left Sky for the Zone, we were like kids, like parents, and split up thinking, whoa, what's going on here? That was a business move. For us, it was a personal, because we loved their union with Sky and Matchroom. We loved that, but that was a business move for them, so it worked for him. So you understand, it comes at different levels. So I understand where Eddie's coming from. I understand where Conor's coming from. I understand the public are thinking, how can he be such an ungrateful someone? So I get it. But this boxing is a sport, is a business disguised as a...
Carl Frosch reacts strongly, pointing out Conor Benn previously spoke about loyalty and standing by Eddie Hearn, but has now walked away. He says Eddie looks genuinely devastated and emotionally invested in the situation, which makes the fallout even more painful. Frosch believes this isn't just business, but a deep personal and financial betrayal. He stresses that Eddie gave everything to Benn's career, so seeing him leave like this feels like a major blow, both emotionally and professionally.
Ben on numerous occasions saying my loyalty can't be touched. Look, it's not about money, it's about loyalty. And now all of a sudden he's left Eddie Hearn, and Eddie looks devastated. I've listened to a couple of interviews what he's done, and he seems genuinely upset and devastated, which is a shame on him, shame for him, because he's heavily invested emotionally and financially with Conor Benn.
Duke McKenzie reacts to the fallout, saying Conor Benn's decision has caused serious public backlash and has deeply hurt Eddie Hearn. He believes Eddie is not just professionally affected, but personally wounded after investing so much into Benn's career. McKenzie questions how someone can give their full support only to be left feeling disrespected. He stresses that this situation goes beyond business, calling it a painful betrayal that has left emotional scars on Eddie and changed their relationship completely.
Eddie Hearn talk about this situation, he sounds really hurt. I mean, personally hurt. How do you swallow that? How do you swallow that pain? That you know, you've given your whole heart, mind, body, and soul, and helped somebody. Then they stick two fingers up at you, and they go, "Yeah, actually, mate, I'm going to find my own way now." That hurts. That's a person.
Dominic Ingle highlights how Conor Benn has fought his way back into the spotlight after a career that looked close to collapse. He points out that Eddie Hearn stood by him during the toughest moments, even taking criticism for it. Ingle also notes the inconsistency in how rules and situations are viewed in boxing, saying opinions often change when money and careers are involved, making the sport unpredictable and emotionally charged.
Where he's been and his career was almost over, and Eddie, dug him out of it and stuck by him and kind of compromised himself really, because he kind of did a U-turn on drugs, Eddie, didn't he, at that point, because it was all ban him for life, and then when Conor failed, it was, oh well, it's a bit different in this situation. So it is interesting how it's all turned out in the end, but boxers' careers are very short.
Johnny Nelson believes the relationship isn't completely finished yet, despite the tension. He says Eddie Hearn is clearly hurt right now, but if Conor Benn continues winning and reaches big financial fights, a reunion could still happen. However, he stresses that trust has been seriously damaged and the emotional bridge is currently burnt. Nelson adds that both Eddie and his team feel the impact deeply, showing how personal this fallout has become.
So now this has happened, Eddie's hurt. But trust me, if 2 or 3 fights down the line and Conor keeps winning, Conor wins his next fight 15 mil, and he puts himself up down another level, and Conor's in a position for Eddie to put a show on, Eddie'll do it. He'll put a show on. They'll work together again. But that trust is broken, that bridge is burnt in regards to that relationship.
Johnny Nelson believes the relationship isn't completely finished yet, despite the tension. He says Eddie Hearn is clearly hurt right now, but if Conor Benn continues winning and reaches big financial fights, a reunion could still happen. However, he stresses that trust has been seriously damaged and the emotional bridge is currently burnt. Nelson adds that both Eddie and his team feel the impact deeply, showing how personal this fallout has become.
Be pissed off. Eddie Hearn must be pissed off. My God, how can they do that to Eddie Hearn? It is not right. I heard it's a one-fight deal for 8 figures. And what I don't understand is who is paying him? I don't understand who is paying him, Conor Benn, because he's gonna demand a lot of money. If it's going to be 8 figures, whatever it might be, he's going to demand a lot of money. So I'm not sure who's going to...
Eddie Hearn opens up with a brutally honest reflection, suggesting that money can sometimes change people's mindset and direction in boxing. He believes when fighters start earning big, they can lose focus, principles, and even their sense of reality. Eddie hints that this is exactly what has happened in Conor Benn's case, implying the financial side has influenced decisions and emotions. He expresses disappointment rather than pure anger, showing a sense of betrayal. The tone here is more reflective as Eddie tries to explain the deeper issue behind the fallout, framing it as a clash between money, loyalty, and personal values in boxing.
Sometimes you get a little bit carried away and deluded with life when the money hits and you lose some direction and you lose some principle and that you lose a reality on actually life. And I feel like that's what's happened. But
Jamie Moore reacts with disbelief, saying Eddie Hearn went above and beyond what was required for Conor Benn during the toughest moments of his career. He believes Eddie truly put his reputation and position on the line to support him, which is why this situation feels so shocking. Moore admits he doesn't know all the details or financial figures involved, but still finds the split hard to understand. His tone reflects genuine surprise, highlighting how unexpected and messy this fallout is, especially given the level of trust and support Eddie had invested in Benn over the years.
Daily life in another industry or whatever it is. So, but it's not. The support's been incredible. Like honestly, I've never had so many messages. People, it's like someone's passed away. People are coming up to me like, trust me when I say I'm fine. Am I pissed off? Am I disappointed? Of course. Does it make me second guess everything that's happened?
Bruce Carrington reacts to Conor Benn's move with a balanced view, calling it surprising but not entirely shocking in modern boxing. He explains that business decisions now drive the sport more than loyalty, and fighters often follow opportunities that benefit their careers and finances. Carrington notes that new promotions are aggressively entering the boxing scene, offering bigger platforms and deals, which makes moves like this more common. He also acknowledges Conor Benn's market value, saying his name still carries weight. Overall, he frames the situation as part of boxing's evolving business landscape rather than just personal conflict.
Yeah, that was very surprising, but hey, listen, business is business, and I guess they're doing certain things that really interest them. And Zuffa, they're really coming into the game real hot. They've been putting on some decent cards and stuff like that. So I can't say it's a surprise. Like, they're bringing in some decent fighters on their roster, and Conor Benn
lays out his focus on staying active and pushing forward, saying he wants to fight 2 to 3 times this year and remain fully ready for any opportunity. He makes it clear that his job is to stay prepared while his team handles the negotiations and fight arrangements. Benn sounds confident and motivated, insisting that bigger plans are in place for him to rise again and make a major impact in boxing. The message is one of ambition and reset as he looks to move past controversy and rebuild momentum. Despite everything surrounding his name, he presents himself as focused on progress, suggesting he believes his best years are still ahead and he is ready to take the sport by storm.
Stay ready. And it's the team's job to make sure that the fights get made and materialise. And I know we've got big plans for me to take the world by storm.
And who else outside of Garcia is appealing to you? Rolly Romero.
Duke McKenzie reflects on the backlash Conor Benn has faced, saying the situation has had serious consequences for his public image and relationship with Eddie Hearn. He believes Benn's decision has deeply humiliated Eddie, both professionally and personally, given how much he invested in his career. McKenzie questions the emotional impact on Eddie, describing it as a painful betrayal after giving full support, trust, and commitment over the years. He highlights how difficult it must be when someone you build up chooses to walk away and go their own direction. The tone here is sympathetic toward Eddie, framing the fallout as more than business, but as a deeply personal loss that has left lasting emotional damage on both sides of the relationship.
Someone hear Eddie Hearn talk about this situation, he sounds really hurt. I mean, personally hurt. How do you swallow that? How do you swallow that pain? That you've given your whole heart, mind, body, and soul, and helped somebody, then they stick two fingers up at you, and they go, yeah, actually, mate, I'm going to find my own way now. That hurts. That's a
This entire situation leaves one big question hanging over boxing. Was this just business or a full emotional breakdown between Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn? If Benn keeps winning and landing massive fights, he could prove that walking away was the right move. But if Eddie Hearn rebuilds without him, it only strengthens the idea that loyalty in boxing is temporary. The truth is, both sides feel betrayed, both feel justified, and neither is backing down. Now it's over to the fans. Are you backing Conor Benn's decision to move on? Or do you stand with Eddie Hearn in this explosive fallout? Drop your thoughts below.